So how do functions interact? There's a number of different ways that functions can interact with your program. There's three main ones that I'm going to cover today. And I'm going to give them to you in the order of most useful to least useful. And you could also say that these are in the order of most powerful to least powerful in terms of getting the most out of your functions. So in this way, let's say we name our function add num, or for add numbers, right? And a nice short name that we can type over and over and over throughout our code, reuse it, and not have any real issues with misspellings or anything like that because it's nice and short. So my function add num is going to just take the two arguments, add them together, and then return the result. This is the most powerful way to use functions because what it allows us to do is to plug in values as arguments, and then we can return a result that we can use in a very flexible way. So how this might look in code could be something like this. If I've got a display div, which is just a div in my page somewhere, and I want to change the inner text to that sum of those two numbers, then I'm going to call the function by saying display div.innerText equals add num, and then I'm going to give it integer a and integer b, which would be variables from my code from the outside of the function that I want to add together. The nice thing about this, or the reason it's so powerful, is because those arguments can be anything. I can reuse that same function in a variety of different ways, in a variety of different places. Notice that I can use any two numbers I want to get them added together and returned. But not only that, I can put that result anywhere I want. I could feed it to the console. I could send it out in an alert. I could put it into the text. I could use it in another function. So it gives me the most flexibility and the most value to reuse that function in various parts of my code. That's a really good thing. All right, so let's take a look at some code that represents this idea. So I've got a fairly simple page here, the functions demo, and I've got a few value spots here with pre-populated input fields. And the reason I pre-populated those is that we're just going to pull the values straight from these and display them here as part of the function. We're not going to use any event handlers for this. We're just going to keep it very, very simple and focus on the function itself. And so what I've got here is some references, and you can see I'm going all the way to pulling the value from those and putting the value directly into these value variables for each field. And so when the page loads, these variables actually contain the values to the field, not the reference to the field. So I can use those directly in a function that adds those numbers together. And you can see here I've got the now famous add numbers function that we've been talking about with int a and int b as the properties of that function, or the parameters of that function, sorry. And I've got int result equals int a and int b. And of course, I am turning both of those into numbers because they're coming from a text field. Here, they're actually going to come in as a string because everything we type in an input box like this is a string to begin with. So I'm actually using the number function to just convert those to numbers. And then after I add them together, I'm returning the result. So this is what we talked about with the type of function that is built for a lot of flexibility. Okay, I can literally take any two values and I can add them together, and then I can display those two values anywhere I want in any form. So let's throw out some examples of how this might look. Okay, so very first thing, let's just throw out an alert that uses that function as its value. So if I want to just say alert, and then I'm going to use the function name, and inside the function it's asking for those two those two values. And I could just give it static numbers, right, if I want to. And when I do that, if I hit save, and then I test that page, there's my alert with the sum of those two numbers inside that. And there's the product of that. So that's one way to do it. But I can also take, instead of those values, I can take the values from my form here. Let's just say value A and value B. And if I save that, there is my sum as an alert. But see, the flexibility here is really nice because I can literally take this function with any values that I want from anywhere in my page or anywhere in my program. And if I don't want to use an alert, let's say I want to display these in the display div over here, or the R div. It's very easy to do. So I can just say R div dot inner text equals the product of that function. And when I hit save, you can see here that the number appears, and I could easily change that to value C. And so I can change the destination of that information. I can change the source numbers of those, where those arguments are coming from, and it gives me a ton of flexibility. So there's a lot I can do with a very open-ended function like that.